Welcome back, everyone. It's Time Spiraled. We've got some more MSEM Grand Prix here this weekend as we are wrapping up what I believe is the final match for our quarterfinals. Whoever wins this one is going on to the semis. We'll be facing off against Gateways there. We've got Zangi piloting Blue Black Ninjas and Cyber on Sultai Villainy. I actually believe that we've recorded both of these players previously. If not, my apologies, but I do believe we've already got their videos up on the channel, which means we've seen a little bit about them, but we're still going to go over some cards here so that we know what these players are playing with. We've got a few rough mulligans here, keeping 6 going to 5. Really rough 5. I mean, brutally rough 5. Single land here. We'll let Zangi figure out whether or not that hand's going to be kept. Over here, Cyber's keeping it 6. We've got a Swamp Flooded Morass here for our lands. Villainy on 3. We've got Dead Man's Party on 2. A Valdez, Pinch Pennies on 1. And Pithwilt. Zangi going to 4, hoping for, a few more lands than just a single tapped Corpse Bed. What have we got over here? We have a Suzume, Iron Warden. We have Expose, a bunch of lands in Morass, Murmuring Falls, and a island. Happy to see some players trying out the Pokemon Secret Lair. Looks like we're keeping this 4. The question is, what are you keeping? I would assume some combination of 2 lands and 2 non-lands. Question is it a Suzume or is it an Iron Warden? I do imagine you'd like to keep an Expose on 1, being able to take out something. Yeah, okay, there we go. From your opponent. Cyber's going to be on the play here, and of course that turn 1 Pinch Pennies. Aim's lowest, which means that it's actually going to hit the Expose and not the Suzume. Not necessarily sure which one was better here. Of course, losing your 1 creature is rough, but that Expose could have let Zangi tackle the Villainy early. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting, if perhaps tight match. It is very hard to start on 4 cards. The big difference is the difference it makes is huge. Cyber's got the second land down, has Prying Inquiry to follow it up, drawing here off the top, which is really rough when your opponent is going down so low on cards and you're just drawing hand attack after hand attack. It does a lot of work here. So loses Suzume. We're down to just lands. All depends on what's going to be drawn here. We've got a clue gets pulled out here. All right, well, we have something playable. Would have been nice, if turn earlier, Cephalophorus Fluke's able to actually hit against hand attacks, since it can counter spells that target you or permanents you control. We'll see if Find Happiness and Misery targets. I would assume we're just, targeting ourselves here. Milling 2 cards, drawing a card, losing 1 life. You want to fill up the bin in this kind of deck because you're running Dead Man's Party and Whisperwood. Oh, drawing into another Find Happiness and Misery. If we can dig to that third land, it's going to make a big difference. Thankfully, we have some plays that we can make on 2. An early Dead Man's, a Pithwilt. Find Happiness can also fire off, and this first Find Happiness and Misery. Man, that's like a tongue twister. Find Happiness and Misery. We've got Profane Emissary coming down here. Not going to see a counterspell. That's actually going to make a relatively big difference here. It's just a 2/2 for now, but the fact that now you can guarantee that you're going to be pulling demons is huge. You can either go for I believe there's a single copy of Polyp Pools here in Zangi's deck from the last time I checked the deck list, but more importantly, you can go find cards like Shinrei at 2 mana, which can start putting in quite a lot of work. So I would imagine we're not going to see the Profane Emissary hang around too long. We still didn't draw into that land, but I think not letting your opponent resolve the search is correct. You did draw... Oh, well, you did draw your 3rd land, so maybe you're running out an early Villainy, but if you really want to keep your opponent off of stuff, Pithwilt, you're going to fire off a Find Happiness, you might just be thinking, I want the value on the Villainy. So it could also just be Because when you next cast a spell that shares, so this will happen before that resolves. Let's see. I could understand wanting to land Villainy on 3, but knowing that Zangi's pretty much depleted, I wouldn't find it incorrect to Pithwold instead. But we're going with the Villainy. Find Happiness and Misery is going to mill 2 more cards. And again, we want to just keep putting things in the bin here. So, alrighty. I believe that was the second spell. Okay, so the Salam's Intervention was pulled from the yard. We should actually keep that open here for this deck. A lot of things might be coming back out of it. Salam's Intervention has whenever you cast your second spell each turn as a rider. If it wasn't put into your graveyard this turn, you can return it from your graveyard to your hand, which just gives you a lot of redundancy and a lot of value off these villainies. Opted to go for the Polyp Pools, playing it as our 4th land here now that Profane Emissary is seeing a demon. We're off to the races. We're going to go swinging in for 4, bringing up the life totals to 22 in Cyber all the way down to 14. The fact that it's a 4/4 would mean the Villainy can't hit it, but we both know, well, we all know that that Pithwilt certainly can. The thing is now that we're fully untapped, we have Savalivor's Flukes here, so we'll actually be able to counter the Pithwilt, and well, there's ways of getting it back with Dead Man's Party, and we can preempt it, find Happiness and Misery, depending on. Although we're only still at 3 lands, we haven't found. I don't know. Okay, I saw a Grim Bastion hit the field. I wasn't making sure about that. Yeah, we're at 4, so we can at least get 2 spells going. So it could be a Find Happiness. Yep. Okay, so instead we're gonna go with Villainy Beats. Villainy is gonna deal 2 damage. Here, the interesting thing is, Cephalovorus also can counter abilities that targets, so... Alright, we're milling some cards. Another Pithwilt here in the yard. I love this alternate art for it. It's very nice. I like the one I have, but that one is just gorgeous, so... With the 2 remaining, I mean, we can see either Deadman's or Salom's firing out here. I would maybe imagine Salom's. You've got stuff in the hand. I don't think you need DMP right away. So Find Happiness and Misery is going to fire off. Finding a lot of happiness there, that's for sure. Taking the 1, milling 2 cards, drawing 2 life. Targets for Villainy. Yeah, this is important here because of the flukes. Well, now that both are going towards Profane Emissary, you actually don't have to use the flukes, right? Like, you're losing it. Instead, if you wanted to, you could use Savalivor's Flukes, counter the interventions. Not necessarily here. I mean, there's other things we can do. Never mind. It doesn't even target. It just says each opponent. I should remember that for MSCDH the next time I pick it up. Alrighty. Creature died, so another card was drawn. Yep, Villainy puts in work. I believe, therefore, it was definitely correct to run that out early and be willing to take just a 4. Okay, we did miss the Villainy draw trigger. Ah, well. The Villainy value here was really good. The fact we were able to sequence 3 and not actually have to spend the Pithwilt is big. Diligent Fisherman's not a horrible draw here. It's a 1/3. You're going to be able to pull probably a creature. What's nice about 3 toughness is it does take, my apologies, 2 Villainy hits to get through. So we don't get to look at the top 4 ourselves. So we're going to see what What gets found? Hey, it's another Cephalovorus flukes. Okay, that's quite interesting. It is sad that it can't hit the intervention, but okay, so Cyber was playing around the flukes. Of course, players know each other's decks. The deck lists are public. There's quite a bit of the removal here that doesn't target. So yeah, it's good for Pith Wilts. It's good for the hand attacks. But now that there's 2 mana open, if your opponent throws out a Prying Inquiry, I guess you flukes, because either that or you're going to lose it, depending on whether or not you think there's going to be a relevant follow-up. Interesting decisions to make. I'm thinking that maybe not letting them know that we have 2 flukes in hand is worth wanting to counter the hand attack here. Okay, well, we're just going to use the Exunt, which, in my opinion, makes a lot of sense. It doesn't target, so Villainy is going to hit Zangi for 2. Exunt's going to kill the Diligent Fisherman. Oh. Okay, so interesting. It doesn't target, but we're going to sacrifice the 1/1. Is that what's going on? Okay, we're gonna use it to counter the drain 2. Neat. Okay, I actually like that a lot. Um, we're gonna counter the drain 2, and then we're gonna sacrifice, I believe, the 1/1 rather than sacrificing the 1/3. Cool. Okay, good play. Your 3 toughness here is not irrelevant, and the fact that it's the kind of card that you want to recur if you ever find some of your ninjas is quite relevant. So starting to get a lot of lands here for Cyber, getting a lot of value in hand. As soon as Salome comes down, things are going to be really rough very quickly. Um, so it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 5 to the face, and we're picking up the Salome from the previous turn back to the hand. The other one's going to go to the graveyard, which means next turn we can do it again. We can go pick up that copy, and so on and so forth. Another 5 to the face. The Diligent Fisherman doing a lot. Honestly, Zangi, for having a starting hand of 4 cards, we're doing okay here. We found more fishermen. Let's see if we find something really good here. Uh-oh. Well, double monument is definitely not what you want to see, but that means the monuments are going to be very far away. We picked up a Rattle Cage Terror. It's a sticky threat. I mean, yeah, your opponent can keep removing it, but I mean, it is what it is. Diligent Fisherman swinging in for 1 here. It's quite nice. I believe Valdez used to have haste and now it doesn't, so, it can't exactly just immediately go nuts. I wonder if that's actually true. I might be just be misremembering. Sometimes, let's check Valdez real quick. Did it used to have haste? Yes. It used to give +2/+0 menace and haste, and then it gave +2/+1 in menace, and we said no. How about we make it a 2/3 +2/+0 instead of 3/3? So it's been hit twice. The raccoon's been hit twice. Okay, a lot of gross stuff here. So Whisperwood's Exploration. I mistakenly remembered that you needed 2, but apparently you don't, because you mill 3 cards, and it's a when you do, return an online card from your graveyard to your hand. Apparently you can just keep picking up the same Whisperwoods, and as long as you have the mana, you can keep doing gross things. Salome comes back to hand, and then I would imagine this is just going to be it with 5 to the face. Let's just wait to see the GG. No? Oh, I guess, yeah, we're going to postpone 1 more turn. We're going to flukes. I think we're going to take 2. Oh, okay. Zanga's going to choose to die to Salom's intervention. Okay, yeah. Writing was on the wall. So players are going to move over to sideboarding. Let's do our own little investigation here and go check out the sideboards for ourselves. Here we are with Zangies. We've got Iron Warden. Probably not what you want here. There's not enough like creatures on the board. This was super good in a previous matchup where there were just so many targets for it, but cards like Cosmic Sinkhole seem pretty good, and Apraxia's Endeavor, the Exile of the Graveyard, is fantastic. Celestial Banishment is really good because of all the triggered abilities that there are. I don't think it's a Titan Snare, so I could imagine some combination of these three coming in, definitely, that pile. And for Cyber, Seal the Tomb doesn't seem horrible here. Ninjas do have some recursion, and Apraxia's is always pretty decent. Singularity's Grasp, maybe, because you want to hit Monument. It's a bit slow. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cards that are just good. The issue with like all the board wipes is some of the stuff is quite sticky, so it really will depend on because like main board, like the thing is Villainy already doing pretty well, right? The fact that, pardon me, here we go, just flickering around a little bit, that every Villainy hit deals the 2 damage, and 2 tends to hit most of the things in Zangi's deck is pretty good. I mean, it doesn't hit Suzume, but I mean, I guess it doesn't really get rid of everything, but it gets rid of a lot. Exun finishes off the rest, so. Alright, looks like Zangi's ready to start the game. We're going to hope for not a multi-4. That's definitely, not the most fun way to start and run through your semifinal, your quarterfinal matchups, but yeah, I mean, Seal picks cards in graveyards, right? And we know that Zangi's doing a little binning, not much. And Apraxia seems just pretty good. Yeah. Alright, both players have started. Let's switch on back to Cockatrice here. Let's check the hands, see if we're noticing anything from the sideboard coming in. Nope, these are all like main board cards. Pay Up and Prying Inquiry. There's a lot of hand attack here. Ran out a tapped Flooded Depths. I'm assuming this is going to be Pay Up. So Pay Up's an interesting card in that it can never really hit exactly what you want, but it doesn't really have a fail case. So one of the things you can do is you pick a card, and then if they discard it, nothing bad happens. But if they discard anything else, you do get a tapped treasure. So in this case, you really want to hit Monument, but your opponent's never going to throw it away. So you can still name it, so you guarantee that at least you're getting a treasure token. That way, Cyber's already going to be at 3 mana. If you draw a Villainy, you can just run out that Villainy turn 2. A lot of these cards we've already seen. We didn't even see Dead Man's Party Resolve last time. Over here, Monument. Okay, sorry, I'm bouncing around a little bit. Monument to the Fallen Man. Not surprised to see it here. It's got tap. You may put a creature card with mana value 2 from your hand onto the battlefield. So that's, immediately either of these. So it refunds itself. That's what the whole deck is based around. And we're seeing Celestial Banishment coming in from the sideboard. No surprise here. It's one of the best ways to get rid of cards like Villainy and Dead Man's Party and what do you have it? So we're playing out a Grim Bastion, going to pay the 2 life. We're going to go to 3. The question is, do we just run out the Villainy? I mean, I think there's a good reason to. Yes, Prying Inquiry is nice, but if that happens, we're going to flash into Savalavora's Flukes. If that doesn't fire off, I'm assuming end turn we're going to see a Diligent Fisherman get monumented into play. It's not really a word, but it can be for us. Now the question is, are we going to see a Villainy run out or something else? Are we holding up any mana? Are we playing it safer? Okay, we're playing it safer. So here's Prying Inquiry, and here's Flukes. So I would imagine it's Flukes. I don't particularly think we're just going to drop Fisherman. Let's see. I mean, because if you drop Fisherman, you're just putting it in your hand. I don't think that would be correct, right? It's got to be Flukes. There's a treasure on tap, so I don't know. I don't know why there's the hesitation here. Is there something in the list that maybe I'm not thinking of? 1 mana cards that Cyber could have. I mean, Exunt, but could be a Seal the Tomb concern. But okay, there we go. All right, Flukes comes out, counters the Prying Inquiry. That's pretty cool actually. I mean, you have a 1/1, but you can always find ways of getting it back. I'm assuming we're going to see blue, black, green here, getting all 3 of our colors, right? No, red. Oh, true. We're doing the Iron Warden trick. Okay, so red enables like Iron Warden's activated ability, which means it's still in the deck somewhere. Interesting. The Fluke Beatdown Plan seems to be the name of the game. So we're swinging in here just for the 1. We're keeping a lot of mana open. Oh, Paul, the red can also be to have the extra color here on Cosmic Sinkhole, by the way. The fact you can go blue, black, and red on this one means you can actually force your opponent to pay 3. Which, you know, right now your opponent tapped 3, has only the 1 to pay, so... So it's going to be a Diligent Fisherman. Going fishing. We're going to see if we can find a creature here. We find Profane Emissary. Very nice. I'm going to... So here's the question. Okay, so we're going for the Villainy Resolves and we're going to use Celestial Banishment instead to exile it. Okay, I totally understand. Moving to the end phase, Exunt, of course, can be played at instant speed. Interesting. I always love this sort of will they, won't they. So we found our 4th land. Now there's a big question in, well, we're swinging for 2. That's always fun. Question is, do we hold up all our mana to have the most flexibility on Sinkhole Banishment? And yeah, we use this for Profane Emissary. Seems like the way to do things. Now the question is Cyber going to run out Exunt, then doing the 2 damage here? Looks like it. Which means we're going to see that Villainy get obliterated here. So Villainy is exiled. The damage is countered, so we're not going to lose Flukes. And are we going to let Exunt resolve? I mean, I wouldn't waste the Cosmic Sinkhole on just the Flukes. The Flukes is more than allowed to hit the bin. All right. We want to have our mana open, so we don't have the 3 mana open, so we can only tax 1, which is going to be obviously harder to do now that your opponent's going to be at 4 Whisperwoods. Yep. So milling 3 cards. We're going to bring back a non-land card from our graveyard to our hand. So, well, either you're getting back Whisperwoods or you're getting back Abandoned by the Gods, which is just a really nice board wipe. The Secret Lair by Nyx is quite impressive. Nyx has done some of the more complex lairs here, so... Alright, looks like we're picking up Abandoned. It's a 4 mana -4/-4, which is relevant against cards like Profane Emissary. The fact that it does cost 4 mana to use, though, means it's probably the kind of card that we can hit with Cosmic Sinkhole. Alright, paying some life, we're fetching it out. Oh, we're running out Dead Man's Party. Now there's the question of, do you hit the Dead Man's? What do we got in here in the yard that we're bringing back? It's choose a color, exile 2 cards of that color, and then bring back a creature, instant, sorcery of that color. So a lot of black. Being able to get back a Whisperwoods and then cycling that is a good way to dig down for stuff, hand attack and whatnot. Exunt is cheap removal, though you do have, you know, a copy in hand. The Villainy is gone, which is, you know, pretty relevant. Okay, we're going to let it resolve. Looks like we're going to be more interested in perhaps countering what it fetches out to let the graveyard slowly exile things out. Profane Emissary going to come in at instant speed. We knew that was going to happen. And now are we going to go fetch the Pullet Pools? I don't think so. I think we're going to go get maybe a one of our other demons. Probably going to go get it's either what? Shinrei, Jejun. I don't think this is a Jejun turn, right? Alright, so we are using Profane. I mean, Shinrei's good. Shinrei does a lot of work. Yeah, alright, good. Happy to see the Shinrei, not just Polyp pools. Shinrei is a 2-2 with Deception is just ninjutsu. Blue-black, you sack a creature, Shinrei can't be blocked this turn, and whenever one or more rogues you control deal combat damage to a player, you get to bring back a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So the interesting thing is let's say you go on the attack, you can pay blue-black to bring Deception in Shinrei, which grows the Profane Emissary. Very cool stuff. So we're going to opt to use it right here, Monument at sorcery speed, to just save on the 2 mana, so we're not even going to get back Diligent. We're just going to swing in. Hits for 5. It's not a rogue, so we don't get to bring back... We only had one creature, and it was Flukes, so... You know your opponent's got the Abandoned by the Gods for 4 mana here, but you're able to tax up to 3, so honestly not too concerning, even if your opponent draws more lands. Now we're just considering whether we're going to use Dead Man's Party. Looks like we are. So Prying Inquiry being exiled for the first card in the cost. I'm going to assume one of the Whisperwoods maybe is the correct other, or pay up? Yeah, okay, there we go. I guess you want to keep pay up on the off chance that you need it. And let's see what gets brought back here. Are we going to go just for the value Whisperwoods, or are we going to bring back the second Exunt and just fire those off to slowly clear the board? The fact that Shinrei, once they hit, I always say she, I'm so sorry. Once they hit next turn, can get back Flukes. If you lose your Diligent Fisherman, you can always, okay, looks like we went for Whisperwoods. I'm going to draw a card. Let's see what we pick up. Okay, looks like it's a Valdez. Pinch Pennies is not bad, honestly. The fact you can run it out before any of the rest of your stuff to hit the one remaining card in hand is not nothing. I imagine if we see a Pinch Pennies before the rest, I would imagine you just tap out, force your opponent to pay 3 just for it to resolve. That way you can counter it and send it to the graveyard rather than giving them a future Valdez. A lot of thinking. Okay, Cyber's going to play it safe. So probably going to be Pinch. Yep. You know, if Pinch resolves, you're getting like the bad end of the deal. So, all right, there it is. Pay 3. Now, your opponent still can pay the 3, and it'll resolve, and you'll have a Valdez for the future, or you can just obviously keep the 3 mana and use it for Exunt and Whisperwoods. You're not getting back, I think, 2 pieces of removal, but the important thing is that Valdez did not go on a merry adventure. I would imagine we're going to see Whisperwoods first, because you never know what you're going to find. I mean, Cyber probably knows what they're going to find, in the sense that they know what's in their deck, but more in the sense that you might as well dig before firing off Exunt. Your opponent's got no cards in hand, so you know Exunt's probably just going to eat Diligent Fisherman. Okay, well, it's a bunch of lands, and we can't get any of them back. We could get back Afterlife Takes Its Due, or we could get back another Exunt, or a Pay Up, or a Valdez. So, quite a few things we can go find. The damage is starting to look a little dangerous here because we've got 4, 5, 6, 7 starting to look awfully close to brutal. It looks like we just picked up the Whisperwoods instead, and Exunt is going to go for the Unfish. I would imagine that is the card that's going to get sacrifice here. All right. Quite a few things we can do. Also depends on what we draw. Though, of course, we can go and get, a all right, so we're gonna do the Jejun. Here we go. Okay, so what's nice about Jejun is you can pay black, black, black to cast it, but only if you sacrifice a creature. And we can do that by sacrificing Shinrei, and that's 10 on board because it does have lifelink and haste. So there we go. Jejun doing some work. I don't think really there was a way out here. So we're moving on to game 3. It's nice to get a full match this time. Sometimes we've been seeing a lot of like 2-0s, so it's nice to see a third game. I wouldn't imagine that the sideboarding is going to change all that much. Players have both already sideboarded sufficiently for the matches. Yeah, there was some lines to survive. There was like double Exons. There was stuff that could have been done instead of going for the Whisperwoods. All right, well, players seem to be chatting a little bit, so we're going to just let them do that, and I'll keep an eye on until we're done. What we can do in the meantime is give a quick check back here on the website, and either of these players win, they're going up against Gateways. So let's do a little bit of thinking about what that could look like. Gateways is on. Okay, we're on the Gate of Realms Intrepid. This is Heart Attack Control. A lot of it's so funny how we're seeing like kind of like a half villainy kind of shells. Like you're seeing your Pith Wilts, your Exunts, your pay ups, prying inquiries, but then where it really differs is you get all these really big mana cards: Mastery of the Veils, Biohazards, Gate of Realms, Intrepid. So just thinking about it. Yeah, okay, so I'm looking back at the match and the discussion, and they're saying that, recurring the Exunts and stuff leaves you without second sacrifice, but blood price is just 1 sack. But, yep, there would have been some plays there. I'm just going to confirm that it's a 1-1, right? All right, so we are going to have our game 3. So players usually when they go into like a long discussion, often it means like that they're done, but they were just in between, so no issues there. Cyber looks like they're ready. So yeah, either of these players have to face up here. It's going to be an interesting matchup. I mean, Cursory Glances are good against Villainies. Pith Wilts are good against Villainies. If it doesn't go fast enough, and I mean, you get a lot of lands, and it's kind of dangerous. Though, stand unassailable. There's banishments here in the sideboards too. It's a really interesting matchup. I really wonder who's going to get there and who is not. So let's look at the hands here. Some more sideboard cards that I'm seeing, so I'm glad to see that I was correct in thinking that Singularity's Grasp is right there. And then over on this side, we've got Anapraxia's Endeavor that we had hypothesized would be in the sideboard. The question is, do you keep just the blue? That seems really rough. Yes, if you draw a single land, you can go Monument into either of your things. So I understand that maybe you do it because if you run out Profane can go find your third land in Polyp Pools, and now you're not quite so in trouble, but woof. Kind of a tough keep. Cyber obviously here has a pretty great starting point. The 1 mana on the Exunt keeps the creature off. You got Find Happiness and Misery and Dead Man's Party at 2, and you got a Singularity's Grasp to kind of just sweep up the board, including the Monuments to the Fallen Man. So we'll see if Zangi takes the risky hand here and keeps a single blue source. I don't know if I would, but Zangi must probably be feeling that game 1 concern of having to mulligan down to 4 when maybe should have kept something else. So we'll see what Zangi decides. Over on, like I said, on Cyber's end, There's just a lot of removal here, and a lot of it's good, you know. Very cheap way of getting something off, and then just closing out the sweep. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's also funny to note Cyber is a designer of Singularity's Grasp, but did not promo that silver border. That was Berglund who got it for the Act Season Top X. I don't blame Zangi for having a big thing here. The fact that everything in your hand is 2 means like a single other land and you're in business. Obviously, double blue is not great, comma. You'd obviously want the black for banishment, but even 2 blues means you can go monument, which then immediately chains up. So, all right, Zangi's doing it. Zangi's keeping. Cyber will be on the play, having lost the previous game. Going to imagine that it's going to be an untapped Flooded Depths here. Or not? Okay. I mean, yeah, if you're thinking that maybe you don't really need to Exunt right away. Could also be bluffing that you don't have... I mean, obviously, if you have a turn 1 discard, you use it, right? There's really no reason to bluff it. We didn't draw the second land, and we are at 7 cards, which means that next turn, if we don't draw it, we're pitching some things, which is never great. So we save 2 points of life, which obviously could be relevant. We're finding this lovely basic swamp here, which means Flooded Morass is going to enter untapped. Now that we have 2 mana, we can find Happiness and Misery, given that it's a sorcery. So Zangi is F6ing, so it looks like we're going to mill 2 cards. Milled a Whisperwoods, milled a Flooded Depths, and then we're going to draw. Looks like we picked up the Grim Bastion here. Oh boy. Expose is a 1-drop, but you do need black to use it. This is rough. And we're pitching the Expose. All right, that was a risky keep. Let's see if we can maybe make it work on turn 3. Cyber hasn't done anything explosive on turn 1 or turn 2. We know there's no Villainy in the hand. And ironically enough, not fielding anything means the 3 pieces of removal in hand aren't doing particularly much. I would imagine just so that you can get Find Happiness and Misery to fire off, you don't waste an Exunt, but you will like run out Dead Man's Party. There it is. So we're going to do it again. We're going to mill 2 cards. Land and land. Oh boy. Zangi wishes they could find those lands here. We draw into a Find Happiness and Misery, so it looks like we're just going to keep doing that. Honestly, not a bad thing to do, considering the fact that we have a Dead Man's Party in play. We are just bidding lands here, so... no land again, but Cyber's not in a position that's undefeatable here. I'm just not throw away, but I discard something. Don't know if I would have discarded the Fisherman, but I get doing that because it's the lowest sort of like value and it doesn't draw you lands technically. But yeah, that's rough. It is one of the cards you can use with Monument. I'm a little more concerned about having the double Celestial Banishment potentially stuck in the hand if we don't draw specifically a black source. But yeah, Cyber's got a lot of freedom here to play it slow, but you definitely want to capitalize on the fact that your opponent hasn't done much. Find Happiness is good, but it's no Villainy. So we're here at the upkeep, not using Dead Man's, drawing into another land. I mean, we've got the mana that we need, just not the Villainy to close out the game, because without Villainy, there's not much going on here that's putting any pressure on Zangi, is the thing. So, milling 2 more. So there goes an Exunt, there goes a Grim Bastion. Finds the Villainy. Alright, so things are looking up a little different. Next turn is when things are going to start getting a little more dangerous. Got already a Find Happiness just kind of lying around here. Yeah, that was a fast turn. Just drew another card, and we're pitching this Spare Suzume. Still haven't found our second land. there's no world in where this is an I told you so. If even a single land had been drawn, this hand would have done a lot. The fact that Monument immediately chains into a 2-drop, we would have been putting on an enormous amount of pressure here, and Profane Emissary would have immediately drawn Apollo Pools if we needed it. And Villainy has only been found here, right? So this would have been turns ago, and the 4-point, swings would have been quite a bit different. All right, so we found Corpse Bed, so we're going to exile 2 cards out of the yard, which is the 2 creatures, which makes sense. Not letting Shinrei get either back. Okay, so we Dead Man's Partied, finding back our Whisperwoods exploration. So all we've got is lands here in the graveyard. Drawing. We're at 5 lands, so that's Cast Villainy, Happiness and Misery is going to resolve, and then you can start either doing Whisperwood exploration loops, or you can try and put some Saloms in the bin. A lot of stuff that can happen. So. Of course, we know that just with a single black source, Celestial Banishment is here, and the clocks just reset once more. Villainy is on the field. We've got 2 mana open. I don't think you just fire off Exons, do you? That seems incorrect to me. Like, your opponent can field some creatures, even if they're on the back, and you can respect the fact that some of those creatures are going to be kind of gross. So I totally get the Whisperwood. So we're gonna start here. Milling 3 cards and bringing back a non-land card from our graveyard to our hand. Let's see what was picked. Yeah, we're just putting the Whisperwoods right back in. Land. All right, it is a land. It does enter tapped, however. Oh, hold up. Phew, I was concerned for a second. I guess it was just a click drag, but there is a second land. Is it too little too late? I mean, we're going to start seeing some really disgusting things here. 2 Exons of Pith Wilt. We've got Grasp abandoned by the gut. Okay, well, this is probably the worst thing that could happen. It's a second Villainy. So that one's going to get run out. First Villainy is going to hit for 2, and then... Yeah, that's definitely not what you wanted to see. The fact that the clock was non-existent, but suddenly the clock is going to be really gross makes a big difference. Every Whisperwoods is now a drain 4. Cyber's respecting the fact that we're up to 2 and now 3. All right. Has the Exons, has the Pith Wilt. Each one of these also does enormous amounts of damage either to the face or to the board. So yeah, that's rough. I mean, because even if you play your Monument, you're tapping 2, so you don't have the mana for also Celestial Banishment. All right, so passing on End, we're going to be able to get rid of 1 of the Villainies, which is what we wanted. There we go, and that does counter, so there is still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Yeah, there was still a drain of 6, but at least it wasn't a drain of 8. Oh my gosh, this is rough. 1 Villainy down. Now the question is, are we Dead Man's Partying to go get something like Find Happiness? Or, yeah, the value is just there. The nice thing about Find Happiness, I mean, yeah, looping Whisperwoods is great, but the fact that Find Happiness, oh gosh, and we drew a 3rd Villainy. Oh, this is gross. And yeah, it's not like a Cosmic Sinkle here would have helped, unfortunately. So yeah, this is gross. Find Happiness. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, a single cast of anything else, and that's it. That's the game. So, and there's more than enough left in Cyber's hand. I don't think Zangi's got anything here. Maybe like if it had just been the 1 Villainy, but yeah, Cyber puts it. There's the sword just hanging above Zangi's head. I think that's game. Yeah. There we go. So Zangi admits concession. It is a sad way to go between a multi-4 on game 1 and then taking a risky hand. I agree that it could have been really good. There was just so much at 2 mana. It's just... That's just rough. Caillou chiming in. 1-landers are always a trap. Yeah, maybe that should have been it. But, as we said, a single land would have made a huge difference. The Profane Emissary beats would have been really, really, really good. But yeah, that's it, which means congrats to Cyber. They're moving on up to the semis. I don't know if we're going to see a semifinal match later today, but if we do, hopefully somebody else can pick it up, because I'm not sure that I'll be able to record that one. But in the meantime, hey, big thanks as always for stopping by. It means a lot that you're checking out the MSEM content, either mine or the other players. And yeah, if you're interested, we're always happy to have more players. So with that said, have a good one, and see you in the next video.